Good morning. This recording is an overview of the presentation that was done at the Hour of Code training for high school computer-based teachers right before our Thanksgiving break. For those of you who are not able to attend, I created this recording to help you facilitate the process of planning for next week. Port Huron Area School District has identified the Hour of Code as an initiative for all students to celebrate during the week of December 8th through the 12th, which is National Computer Science Education Week. All levels have identified classes or ways that students will be experiencing the Hour of Code. At the high school level, computer-based classrooms were identified by administrators and the curriculum department as the area best suited for students to experience the Hour of Code. If you're receiving this, you have been identified as one of those teachers in a computer-based classroom, and it is the expectation that your students will experience at least 1 hour of code during that week. I'm just going to go over the presentation briefly and highlight some things you should be doing. You can then follow through and use the presentation that was shared with you on your own. As always, I am available to contact for questions or to help with planning. At the end of the presentation and review of the expectations, please email me what you plan on doing with your classes during the Hour of Code. On the first page of the presentation, there is a short video, just a couple of minutes, but it's a great background video to the Hour of Code, what the initiative is, and how it relates to the real world that our students will be experiencing. The objectives for our hour together were to be able to communicate the Hour of Code initiative, to identify 2 potential resources for use during the Hour of Code, to have you register classes for Hour of Code, and to give you access for a computer science course that serves as an overview of potential future courses. Communicating the Hour of Code initiative is going to be important as we want Port Huron Area School District to have a unified presentation. The idea behind the Hour of Code is that students need to see that it's not difficult. Most people can learn the basics. They want the idea of coding demystified to students. So the intention is for all students to experience 1 hour on an introduction to computer science. On this slide, we have a link to the Hour of Code, which is a planning page for teachers. What I want you to keep in mind before you click on that planning page is that what you're asked to do is facilitate an hour of code for students, not instruct coding. Consider student pacing. An hour is the goal. Some students will reach farther in the programs than others, and that's okay. You need to think about whether you're going to give students choices or you have one that you believe is more closely aligned to your class and you will direct them to a specific resource. There's also a link for activities that go beyond the Hour of Code and ways to have guest speakers connect with your class. This would be done outside of the Hour of Code, but is a great way to extend the activities. When you click on the Hour of Code link, it will take you to a planning page on code.org. Especially go to the how-to guide for teachers. It starts out with a very short video, then a link to the tutorials. You do not need to register your Hour of Code on the map. We will be handling this locally through St. Clair County RESA. Planning your hardware needs, the only thing that I would ask since you have computer-based classes is you do have access to computers for your students, but the programs you're interested in trying, make sure that you have made sure students can access them with the computers that you will be using. Inspiring students by showing them a video. There's several choices here. Find the one that is best suited for your particular students. And then directing during the Hour of Code, here's some ideas for you, but as all of you guys are computer-based teachers, probably you are more than well prepared to handle this aspect of the Hour of Code. After considering what you need to plan for a minimum of an hour during next week, you can then move on to looking at the actual resources. It's important to note that all but one of the resources on the Hour of Code website allows students to engage and practice coding without creating usernames or passwords or registering as a class. As you go through these resources, if you find this is something that you would rather have as a class and ongoing, you are certainly welcome to create the classroom page and the student logins. The only requirement is that this is done outside of the actual Hour of Code. The intention is for students to actually experience an hour of code, not use the time to create logins and passwords. As you're looking, you're going to want to consider your students' reading levels, their tech skills, and accessible programming. So there is under other languages for students who are visually and hearing impaired, there is a program for them. And again, are you going to let students choose? Are you going to use design thinking unplugged activities for setting up the Hour of Code for students, or continuing on after the Hour of Code? When you click on the two potential programs, it takes you to Computer Science Week and the different tutorials that are available. You'll see that the first one is a tutorial for beginners, and as you go through, these are very, very basic. They have ages, and the tutorials for beginners mostly are elementary to middle school, although there are some that are accessible or of interest to high school students. As you scroll down, you can see that there are JavaScript, so middle school students and above. This one is specifically for high school students. It's Code HS, so that might be one that you're interested in. And then Code Academy, which is done through Khan Academy, is a great way to move through the program. Code Combat is being used at the middle school level by world language teachers because it allows you to choose the language in which you are programming or receiving your instructions. However, this is the one resource that does require students to create a login. You can see you can continue to scroll through. There are more if you don't have device or internet, so the unplugged, and then tutorial apps for phones and tablets. You may have students who already have begun coding and they're ready to move to this level, or other coding languages here. So this is where you're going to go to determine what would be the best for your students to use, or since you have high school students, if you want them to make the choice, you could simply give them the option of this page, provide the link for them, and let them choose. We also want to make sure that we are registering all of our classes. If you click on this link, it takes you to the St. Clair County RESA webpage, and on the top right hand side you will find where you register your classes. You can see that over on the right hand side here it tells teachers to register, and you click here for the registration. By registering through the St. Clair County RESA, you also will be registered nationally through the Hour of Code. RESA is providing prizes at each level throughout the county at elementary, middle, and high school, so it's possible that your class could win some cool technology to use in the classroom. The last slide really is in consideration as we move forward with the changes in the Michigan Merit Curriculum. The legislature has allowed that computer science can be used as the third science, and for the fourth math or the senior math, the CTE rules apply. Those have not been well defined through the Department of Education, especially in regards to a conflict between there being no established curriculum and the legislature referencing established curriculum. While we are still waiting clarification on those things from a curriculum perspective, it is something that we need to look at moving forward. So you need to consider how the addition of computer science classes may affect you personally, or the classes that you teach, or how the classes you already teach have these computer science standards embedded. The last thing we have is a link to a Florida virtual course on computer programming. This course is available to us at no charge. It would be a great idea for you to look at that class just to get an idea compared to what you're doing, compared to what the standards may be, or if there's aspects of that online course that could be used within the context of what you are currently teaching. When you click on the link, you will then go to courses. On the right hand side, you will click on the Florida Virtual Project. Scroll down under Technology until you see Computer Programming, and then it'll ask you for a password, and this is the password that you should use to access the course. This part is not required. This is just an extension of our thinking in computer science as we move forward. Thank you for your time. Again, I'm available by phone or email if you have questions or need clarification. In the planning process, the expectation is that your students will experience 1 hour of code next week, December 8th through the 12th. And the last thing that I need is just a quick email sharing what program you're going to be using, when you're going to be using it, and how it will be used. If you just send me that quick email, we are going to be sharing this out as part of our social media, what's going on in our schools. So there may be opportunities for either the press or administration to come view your students and take pictures of your students as we roll out the Hour of Code. Thank you for your time.